you've been in this 30 years almost. What do you think of hip hop today? What's your, when you listen and you watch, what do you think about it?
I mean, I look at it today as not as original as it was before. Right now today, everybody is singing on the same beat. You know, it's like, you know, you hear the same beat and you hear the same, you know, and everybody's trying to be like somebody from the past. Everybody sounds like everybody. You know, everybody, you know, the lyrics are pretty much the same. When you look at the videos, you know, if you go and look at one of my videos with my jet ski, partying in the house, you know, bottles, then go look at a Rick Ross video, you see the same thing. You know, it's no creativity. So, you know, so when I look at it and I hear it, you know, it's like, oh man, were we ahead of our times? Yeah, to a degree, but when are these guys gonna get out of doing, you know, parties and clubs and videos in clubs, and now everybody is, you know, all the women in hip hop are doing Luke videos right now. You know, but back then all the girls had original body parts.
Talk a little bit more in terms of, you know, how you felt like people responded in terms of race. I mean, the attorney who was really supporting you, he's a white guy, but just in terms of your thoughts about race, and then was there other people in hip hop, what kind of support were they providing? Were they concerned that they could be next? Because, I mean, I lived in Cincinnati. I was in grad school when they were pulling stuff off the shelves in Cincinnati. So I was in Oxford, Ohio, right up the road. I saw all of that firsthand. But talk a little bit more about that, and then particularly what the conversations were like in the hip hop community when y'all were going through this.
We were the most hated by all the other artists. I mean, it was a period of time where you would have Salt-N-Pepa and Kid and Play, and they would be doing, you know, interviews on BET, and they would be talking about how bad that they hate us and how they don't like us and how we're not hip hop. We would go do concerts, you know, whether it was with Public Enemy or whether it was with EPMD. And I remember doing a concert in Biloxi, Mississippi, where we did a concert with Run DMC, same guys that I would bring down to Miami and pay $1,000 to do a concert. They would tell us we only have one song to do, one song. You can only do one song. We're the headliners, and the headliners basically dictate what the opening acts do. We would go and do shows in Tennessee with EPMD. They would give us this much stage to perform. We did concerts, whether it was in Oakland or anywhere with people like MC Light, not MC Light, but that was my girl. We would do concerts with Salt-N-Pepa. You know, they got into this thing where they wanted to boycott us. You know, we weren't the headliners, but they would then tell the promoter, put them on last, and normally every other artist would stand on the side and watch and see who rocks the concert. They would all leave and protest. So it would be nobody backstage, you know, at the concerts when we were doing the concerts. You know, we were pretty much, we were the outcasts of the entire music business, and I was the centerpiece of it all, you know, and then it got to the point where, you know, we couldn't get on regular tours because the artists would tell the other artists, tell the promoter, we don't want these guys on tours, but they would have to have us in certain markets. So when they had to have us in certain markets, then that's when they, you know, did what they did as far as restricting us from the amount of time that we had on stage. And you know, it just made us much more, you know, much more angry. It made me more angry because it became the South against the North. It became, you know, what we were doing in Miami more so than us just being the guys with explicit lyrics, us coming out, and we ain't got break dancers, we got male dancers and we got girl dancers on stage, you know, and so we became intimidating to them, you know, but they were mostly upset with anybody that wasn't from New York. I mean, the same thing happened with artists like Schoolie D and other artists, you know, that were from Philadelphia. You know, they would have the same issues NWA would have. I mean, me Ice Cube became real good friends because we used to sit back and talk about how the New York artists would disenfranchise us from the whole industry. And through all those days, that's when the East Coast, West Coast beef was generated. People think that it started by Tupac and Biggie having issues with each other. It was the root of it all started with us because we would only be able to perform with people like NWA, groups from the West Coast. So a lot of guys had venom back then about the whole situation of being disenfranchised from the New York artists.